Hi everyone and welcome back to another Win with Armagh podcast. It's all about Ulster Championship fever now and we're building up to the showdown between Armagh and Monaghan coming up on Sunday week. I'm delighted to be joined by Paul McGrane, the last Armagh captain to get his hands on the Anglo-Celt in 2008, almost 20 years ago, Paul.
That's right. Black and white back then, so it was, Shaun.
When you were lifting Anglo-Celt in 2008, I'm sure you didn't think it was going to be almost 20 years before Armagh had their hands on it again?
No, who knows, like. Do you know what I mean? Like, suppose we come from an era that you're just delighted to go and get a championship win. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that sort of started off for me in the earlier part of the career in respect to it. Like, so absolutely delighted to go and win a championship match. If you have an opportunity to go and win, do you know what I mean? The Ulster title, massive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so really thankful to be part of all that. Like, but 2008 was special. So it was like probably wasn't much expectation at the start of the year. It was a solid enough league, and then we played Cavan in the first round in Breffni. It was a high scoring match. Probably the match the previous even between Down and Tyrone was the one that was all because I think they played out a draw. Maybe Down had won in extra time, and then we played Down in the semi-final. I suppose something similar to this year. Like, it was a much tighter game. There was about 2 or 3 points in it. And then come in against Fermanagh, and at that stage Fermanagh were being managed by Monaghan O'Rourke. And they were a very good team. Barry Owens, Marty McGrath, Tom Brewster. They'd beat Derry. I mean, in high drama games, I think Derry were league champions at that stage, and they beat Monaghan as well. So they were coming into it in merit and ultimately looking to go and win their first title, like, which was massive. Like, so the first day I would call it was. We were going well in the first half. There was a great goal by Finn Moe. It was a collector's item. And then I think there was maybe about 4 points in at half time. And then Clarkey got a goal in the second half. And you sort of thought we were in the driving seat, but the opposite happened. And we're very, very fortunate to come out with a draw the first day. And then even the second day, I would say that was sort of nip and tuck. Probably wasn't a great game. And in the second half then, Stevie got a goal. I think Aaron kicked a few points, Tony Kieran, Clarkey again, Bram Mann, kicked them with points, whatever. Like, so absolutely delighted to go and win an Ulster title. Like, I suppose when you stand back looking, there's not too many Ulster titles in Armagh's history. Like, so anytime there's a chance or an opportunity for a bit of silverware with, like, yes. So it was great there. Like,
did that 08 one, Paul? That would have been your 7th, I think. Your 7th medal. Like, did it mean as much as the other ones? Like, or, you know, at that stage, Armagh were the dominant force, I suppose, in the province?
I would say, okay, I know, absolutely. Like, it was sort of like there was a different Peter McDonald come in. Dennis was actually on with Peter then, and actually Kieran McKeever and Kieran McKinney are actually, they were playing, so they were like, so, you know, I would say that, like, you know, because ultimately you come back to about really appreciating a championship win, like really appreciating an opportunity to go and do that, like, so, like, it was massive in '99. I think I actually was chatting that day. Like, I mean, in '98 we beat Down in the first round. It was the first championship win we had in years. And then the next match in the semi-final, Derry hammered us. So then you're back to the drawing board, and then the following year was '99, and it was the 3 Ds, it was the 3 biggies. Like, it was Donegal, Derry, and Down. And it was, I mean, it was massive. Like, I think it was 82 to '99, and then. So to go and get that, and then once you got that, then it was a case then of, can you push on here, like, and nearly, do you know what I mean, we're a bit shy on the 2 brands in '99, you know, when against Meath, just fine margins with it, and then again, I mean, delighted to get back again the following year against Kerry. Like, I mean, it's just, you just roll on what's the next thing to go and happen with, to go and push on, to go and get the next win. So you're sort of glad to get back to the All-Ireland series. You know, what's then with against Kerry, I think it went to a replay, and then we were beat. And then back in the Ulster Championship, and then neighbours go and give you a jag in the first round, you're beat, and then you're in the qualifiers. I think the qualifiers just kicked in then, like, so you're just searching then, you mean, to go and push on. Absolutely, if you go and win the Ulster title, and to go and push on to win the All-Ireland, like, and so you probably realise that it can all change very, very quickly, like, so it's like involved with any team, like, you know what I mean, when you're going strong, or when the sun's shining, you want to make hay, like, you know what I mean, and I suppose, you know, keeping the group together, I suppose you just sort of see it with with the group there at the minute, like, you know what I mean, how well they are in respect of that, like, you know what I mean, about pushing on for the next one, pushing on for the next game, and what's the next challenge, like, and that's ultimately it's about, because on any given day, I suppose the Ulster Championship has shown that this year, like, do you know what I mean, down Donegal, even the Derry Monaghan game, like, I mean, anything can go and happen, like, and once you're gone, that's it, like, so you move on, the Ulster Championship's gone, then you have to got to move into the other competition, like, but to be, if there's an opportunity to go and win an Ulster title, absolutely, Shaun, like, you know what I mean, and you'd relish it, like, you know, kind of way, like, so at any given time, like, so, yeah.
You're talking about 99 there, Paul. That's probably more relevant to this stage, because that was a 17-year wait, and I think this is 18 this time around. So 99, you probably didn't have the experience that these boys have in terms of they've already won All Ireland, they've been in 3 Ulster finals in a row, like, so your players' mindset in 99 probably was different than these boys now, because it's a completely different circumstance, really.
Oh no, 100%. This is like the Armagh crew now is a different gig, like, you know what I mean, different gig in so many different ways, like, you know what I mean, and you say, you know, the experiences, like, and like, unbelievable credit, you know what I mean, for the heartache that they'd gone through, do you know what I mean, Ulster titles, penalties, extra times, you know what I mean, like, but kept coming back, like, and I think that's why not only the folk in Armagh, but throughout the country, like, you know what I mean, couldn't take their hat off to them when Armagh got over the line then, to win the All Ireland then, like, but yes, they have that experience, and no doubt, you know what I mean, like, if the bigger one is still the All Ireland, like, you know what I mean, that would still be the big one, donkeys off this stage, like, but no, they're a different group, and I suppose when we were coming then, it was young and hungry, and just we didn't really know what was happening with it, like, but there was just, we had our own journey with it too, like, you know what I mean, about trying to win a championship match. In that stage then, there was no qualifiers, there was no, you're beating the first round of the championship, that's it, you went back, the league was before Christmas then, and then, you know what I mean, you went back, regrouped, and you know what I mean, you pushed on again, you train harder, see where you can go and push on again, and then the next thing you could beat then, and in the next year, you know, kind of like, and that was difficult and frustrating then, because it probably took a long while then to go and actually put in place, you know, the learnings from it, like, but I suppose 99 there was the Donegal match the first day, I think there was 2 goals. I think the slagging was a bit taxi for Tierney, you know, at the start of it, like, but do you know what I mean, there was great resilience then, you know, to come back and body buffet and then to get over the line. I suppose there was learnings all the time, like, and just pushing on, like, and getting the rub of the green, and then, you know, you had Damer, you had Ocean, you know what I mean, the sort of took out then in the Ulster Final, like, so, but there was a great group who were really, really, really hungry, really, really, I mean, it was their focus to go and push on, and just to try and get over the line, like, and I suppose driven by the 2 brands, like, you know what I mean, to get the championship match, to get a championship win, and then to go and do it, and that's why I go back then, Shaun probably going to say, that's why you value, do you know what I mean, if there's an opportunity to go and win an Ulster title or whatever, like, absolutely, you'd relish it, like, you know what I mean, because you ultimately know that there's only a few opportunities with it, like, and with the crew that's there at the minute, like, you know what I mean, I think this is the 4th in a row, like, it's massive, like, and I think this is a massive testament to, you know, Kieran and the management team, like, you know what I mean, and it's, I'd say especially what do you call this year, given, you know what I mean, the massive, you know, turnover in players through retirements, through injuries, and that happens already, but it's just that there's been a significant amount in Armagh, but to keep it going, you mean, to keep nurturing the young ones coming through, to keep, you know what I mean, managing the senior boys within that, like, and even managing the squad of that, like, that's massive. Like, I suppose that the earlier part of the season was to go and stay in Division 1, and then from that to get back into an Ulster Final. I know anything can happen now, and it's very early in the season yet, like, you know what I mean, with qualifiers later on down the line, like, but deserve unbelievable credit, like, and Kieran, you know what I mean, just has been driving it, like, you know, along with the management team, like, so hopefully they can keep pushing on, like.
I think this year, you sort of touched on it there, Paul, about the big turnover in players, but the likes of Darragh McMullen, Oisin Connery, like, these boys are still only 22, 23 years of age, but they have really stepped on. We've seen Charlie Og against Down coming into a leadership role as well. Massive credit to Kieran and to the team that he has built, because we've seen Aaron O'Neill coming on and kicking a 2-pointer, Tomas Galvin, Daniel McGee making debuts, so there's just a conveyor belt there at the minute that has been building over the last couple of years.
I would even say it's been building more in a couple of years, like, you know what I mean, it's been building, I would say, if the truth be told, I would say probably since Kieran come back, like, do you know what I mean, like, and it's taken time, and there's been, there's been solid steps, but like, you know what I mean, like, sometimes we sort of think go up, like, but, and Kieran's driven that, like, you know what I mean, just, there couldn't be enough credit to him and respect that, like, but that's why I think that those fellas, it's just the environment that they're in, like, and then, you mean, you've got, I mean, the role model is that, Aidan Falker, he's still there. I mean, Rory Greg, you know those fellas, just about theirs, and people know about standards are, but just the way they go and approach it, like, you know, kind of way, like, and that has been built up over time, like, so therefore they're coming in and seeing this good example from the players that nearly Kieran has, you know, I mean, pushed hard to go and set the good examples, and these boys are actually seeing it. They're all still there, like, and that's why, do you know what I mean, that I would say that's helping them. So when fellas are coming in, you know what I mean, I would say there's not much different from what's happening in training and what's actually happening in the matches, like. So that's absolute credit, you know what I mean, as I said, to Kieran, the management team, and to the whole squad, like, and, do you know what I mean, and for the young ones grabbing it, like, and as you say, you know what I mean, the different ones that have come in, I suppose, like, a case in point would be, you know, the two goalkeepers, like, the two goalkeepers have been actually super this year in the championship so far, but they're an absolute credit, like, you know what I mean, there's nobody spitting the dummy out. I'm sure they're pissed off, do you know what I mean, like, about not starting, like, but even Sunday there, you can see them out practicing beforehand, you know what I mean, pushing the other one on start, like, and whoever gets the nod, that's it, like, they'll get on, like, it's going back to Kieran's thing, you know, there's nobody bigger than the team, like, so absolute credit. You just need to watch, you don't get too giddy with it, because I've no doubt that Monaghan are rubbing their hands, you know what I mean, they're bound to be bouncing after, you know, the win against Derry, so they'll be rubbing their hands and all this highfalutin talk about Armagh and about how great they are, like, but there's two teams in the Ulster Final, there's a match to go on and that's it, so it doesn't really make any difference how you get there, like, but they will relish playing Armagh, and I think just the last time they actually played in the championship, I know it was different circumstance, whatever, but there was probably talk about Armagh sort of being a fancy team get in beforehand. Monaghan come away with a victory in Croke Park that day, like, so, and like the game the other evening, like, you know what I mean, score from the ages from Jack McCarron, and then Rory Beggan, not just his kick outs, or not just what he call his free taking, like, but, you know, coming out the pitch, you know what I mean, the pass, winning the ball, the kick out, playing it into Michael Bannigan, then, you know, the excellent goal, and like, even the one at the finish, like, so their display of grit the other day, you know what I mean, never saying die, like, was unreal, like, so they'll take some kick from that, like, and as I say, home patch, Clonus, Ulster Final, they'll be hungry for it too, so it's all, I would say, it's all the makings of a great game, like, but I would just be happy with a 1 point win, like.
Those older boys in the squad that you were talking about, Paul, that have sort of been driving the standards and that have been there nearly longer than Kieran at this stage, like so Rory Gugan and Aidan Falker, Andrew Myrne and them boys, like, they've done so much in their career. They've got from Division 3 up to climbing the steps of the Hogan Stand, but I suppose that Ulster medal is just the one that has eluded them at this stage, so they'll be as hungry as the younger boys, I suppose, to go on this.
Oh, no doubt about that, like, I suppose the Almonds are, you know, I mean, see Aaron McKay, you know, I mean, it's great to see Aaron Flanagan, you mentioned about Andrew too, like, trying to think of Almonds, like, you know, I mean, see even Oisin O'Neill, like, you know, I mean, sort of the other crew, like, but, and the Almonds in my head there, you know, it's Jason Duffy, has been absolutely super, like, you know, I mean, like, probably sometimes, or the other one has been a real warrior so far, has been Greg McCabe, like, but absolutely, like, you know, I mean, them boys have all their journey, and I've no doubt they'd love to go and get a rattle at, and you know, I mean, we'll see what happens later on, like, but I've no doubt they have a massive hunger to win an Ulster title, like, and just go back to it, because there's an opportunity there to go and do it, like, you know, I mean, they put themselves in a place to go and do that, and they've worked hard in the championship, like, you know, I mean, sort of even the throne game, you know, I mean, it ebbed and flowed, and when they're under pressure and extra time, a man down, like, you know, I mean, they really showed up so that, like, and they've shown glimpses of what they can go and do, like, and it's just a case, I would say, of pushing on, improving, and keep doing what they're doing, like, so. They're
probably going to be big favourites going into this one, but as you say, probably historically, Monaghan would have no real fear of Armagh. They'll not fear Armagh, even what Armagh done in the semi-finals.
No, 100%. I even go back to remember the match in the marshes that time, like, so no, 100%. Monaghan won't fear them, like, but I'd say Kieran, like, you know, I mean, he's already mentioned about, I mean, the folks, and I've no doubt that they'll be staying away from the noise or the crap as he talks about, like, you know, I mean, they'll be focused on training, like. and they've had a number of harsh lessons, like, so. No, that's it. It's about turning up on the day and performing, like, and nobody's entitled to anything, or nobody's going to hand anything out, like. But the boys know that, so they do, like, you know what I mean, and they've been absolutely super, so they have, like. But again, it's about showing up on the day and performing, like. And
Paul, the game's on Sunday week, so hopefully come that evening you'll no longer be the last Armagh captain to win the Anglo-Celt.
100%. So it was, I'm a bit delighted. Some of the, you know, Armagh K, I think he's taking the toss out. Absolutely delighted. Do you know what I mean? Like, so no, 100% fed up seeing the picture or whatever. Like, but no. So hopefully they can go and do the business, like.
Yeah, hopefully they can do the business. Well, as we say, this is the first podcast we're doing in the build-up to the Ulster Final. We'll hopefully have another one next Friday evening, and that will be 2 days out at that stage, so we'll go a bit more in-depth on the actual game. But everybody make sure to support the Win With Armagh campaign. The players are doing it on the field, and they need the training facilities out of Portadown now, and God knows where that can take them. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and thanks to Paul for coming on and having a chat.
Win £50,000 to spend how you like.
Here at Shelbourne Motors.
You could choose this car.
Or what about this one?
Why not grab two while you're at it?
£50,000 to spend your way at Shelbourne Motors.
It's entirely up to you. One car, two cars, it's your way. It's a tough one for me, but I'd probably go with this one.
Enter now, tickets are only a £5.